So good evening, guys. I wanted to talk to you today about sexing pigeons. I have with me 17966. This is off my number one pair here, off my Sacramento pair. This was technically my first round this year, but she is a 2024, and she, as you know, I do a lot of Cry1 testing. She tested out as homozygous for Cry1, and I was hoping at the time that this bird was a cockbird, because I really needed a good son off my number one pair that was homozygous Cry1. So my high hope was cockbird. My plan is to make this bird back to Sacramento Queen and produce basically birds that were pure Cry1 that would basically be from then on forward always possess the homozygous Cry1. That was my plan. The plan did not work as planned. This bird turned out to be a hen, and I only found this out very recently. I had her penned with a couple of brothers. I was dead certain they were cockbirds, but this one was kind of a question. I just thought maybe it was a little bit of a, not so much of a bully cockbird. But it turns out it was a hen, but she is still a little bit too young to lay. Probably here in the next month or so she'll be breeding. But there's a real problem in pigeons as far as sexing pigeons when it comes down to it. You know, most of us who buy pigeons from auctions, we go out, we look for a cockbird or a hen of a specific line. We see a bird on the auction, it's supposedly a hen or it's a cock. We buy it, we get it home, we grow it up a while and go, oh, it's the wrong sex. And then we go buy another one. And there's a lot of funny ideas about sexing pigeons. You know, back in the 1980s, if you looked in the American Pigeon Journal, there were always these ads for a pigeon sexing device. And what it was a pendulum. And the idea was if you hung the pendulum over the bird and it revolved in a circle, it was a hen. If it swung back and forth, it was a cock. And some of them were just stones on the end of a string. Some of them were magnets on the end of a string. Some of them were fishing weights on the end of a string, and they had little instructions with them. And supposedly it worked. Of course, it does not. It's nonsense. You know, if you don't believe it, you can try it yourself on your proven breeders, and you'll find that you'll get all kinds of wacky results. It doesn't work. Another common one that goes around is you'll find people that believe that if this toe on the outside is shorter than the other toe, that's a hen. Well, that doesn't work. This is a hen. They're I don't know if you can see on the video. They're even. But this is a hen. This is, so there's kind of only two ways we can tell that birds are the sex we think they are for 100% fact. We can grow them up and breed them, and hens will lay eggs, and cockbirds will fertilize eggs. That's the first thing we know. The other option is to genetically test. And that is what I finally did with her, who I thought was a hen. I finally sent another sample off to gene check, had the DNA done. It's a hen. We know that for sure now. So now I know how to go forward with this pigeon for the most part, apart from needing something to mate to her. But just, you know, some insights into pigeon sexing. Most of us know about the XY genes in humans, and a lot of people assume that it works the same way in birds. It doesn't. They have what they call a Z chromosome, and that is actually the base chromosome, but it works the opposite of the XY. In humans, organisms that are homogametic for the X are female. And organisms, men, are heterogametic. They have an XY. Now in birds, it doesn't work that way. Birds and some reptiles and some insects, they have what they call a Z system, but the cocks are actually homogametic, so a cock bird is ZZ, and a hen is ZW. And the W is actually what determines the sex, whereas in humans and other mammals, it's actually the Y that is the sex determination stuff. So it's pretty interesting. I would recommend, if you want to learn about the chromosomal background of bird sexing, go onto Google and you'll find plenty about it. There's not a lot to know about it. I mean, there is, some fine details that are different. For example, the Z in birds, the Z chromosome actually carries more genetic material than the W. That's why when we breed pigeons, the cocks, as far as the color, you can have like an ash red cock, and he can be ash red, and he can also carry blue because he's got 2 of those Z chromosomes. But the hens don't have that, because the W that the hens have, like this hen, she can't carry another gene for pigment. She is just a blue pigeon with checker, so she can't carry dilute or anything like that. And that is the difference as far as how those sex chromosome works. But one of the things I recommend, if you're a person that sells pigeons on auctions, especially racing pigeons, you should really make it a point, if you want to enhance the value of your product, your birds that you want to sell, you should sell DNA tested pigeons for sex at minimum. If you do that, you can actually guarantee to your customers that this bird is a hen or this other bird is a cock, and actually offer your customers, what it is they need, and basically take the guesswork out of it. Because at the end of the day, there are bully hens, there are henny cock birds. I thought this was kind of a henny cock bird originally, so even after 50 years around birds, we still get fooled. All of us, when it comes right down to it. There's other theories. Some people believe, if you got a space between the pubic bones, that's a hen. This one's pretty tight back here. So really, when it comes down to it, the only true measure of sex in birds, when it comes down to it, to be 100% sure, is to actually pair them up and breed them, and they either lay eggs or they fertilize eggs, or do the DNA testing. And I would really recommend most people do DNA testing. It is $13 to test a pigeon for sex from Gene Check. It's only $10 from Phoenix Biolabs, or maybe it's even less at this point now. I think they may have lowered their prices a little bit. But going forward, it's the easiest way to find out, because most of us, we have breeding plans. We always eat a cockbird off of this pair or a hen off of this pair, and that's kind of how we plan things. And using the DNA testing through places like Gene Check, or Phoenix, or some of the other companies, it's about the only way to really know what's going on. Anyway, that is it, guys. Be sure to subscribe and tune in next time. In the meantime, keep them flying out there.